It had been coming a lot of years. I think it wasn't like a surprise to me or my sister. I think in the moment that it happened, we were a little bit surprised because we didn't know it was coming right then, but we knew it was coming for a long time. My name's Kris, and I grew up the child of a divorce situation. I would just start by saying, before I get too far into the story of how it affected me and kind of what happened, I have the most wonderful parents you'll ever meet. They are just fantastic people. And actually, in a lot of ways, because of what happened, in fact, really I'd say because of what happened, I have a stronger relationship with both of them, oddly enough, because of the divorce. And I won't go into the details of what happened or what caused it. That's not important. It's just not important, and it's ancient history. But I will say, give you kind of the basics of the timeline. I was 13. I'm almost 32 years old now, and it was like a lot of divorces are kind of like car wrecks in that you'll never find happy people at a car wreck. They're always unhappy. Even the slightest fender bender, somebody's not happy. Well, divorce is like that. There's never really such thing as a happy divorce. There are more, amicable ones, and there are far less amicable ones. But in our situation, it was about as healthy as could be. The thing about my situation that I think makes it a little unique, and I do contend that this is unique to, not that this doesn't happen, but in our situation at least, it's hard to talk about with people, is that my parents are in ministry. If you grow up in ministry, you grow up in a fishbowl, and the fishbowl can be a really good thing. It can be a lot of fun when things are going well, and as long as everybody's sort of, I guess, behaving perceptively. But all of a sudden you have what I would call a broken fishbowl, and everybody can see that it's a broken fishbowl, and that was tough because let's face it, the expectation is somebody, one or both, are going to lose their position depending on what they're doing, and that's precisely what happened in our situation. I mean, our life really, I lost the church that I grew up in. That's where God met me. He met me through the fact that, my parents really took us to places, to church after that, where people came around us, knew we were hurting. They didn't look at us and say, you guys, well, we heard about your situation, even when often maybe they had. And they'd heard about what had happened, but it was, come give me a big hug, we'll have a big cry fest, and it's going to be okay. And there were a couple of years to that. So that's where God met me, I would say, through all of it, was through the everyday faithfulness of being part of the local congregation, local community, fellowship of believers. The way I tell my story differently now, I really honestly think, a lot of preachers' kids grow up with some stigmas attached to them, some negative stigmas. A lot of preachers' kids, I had a lot of friends who who really kind of did wind up the wild route and wound up rebelling. Something about going through that situation and all of us kind of going through a broken time actually made my faith stronger over time because, I had to own it a little earlier. I couldn't rely on my parents' faith to kind of get me by because I saw that they were sinners too. And so I realized they were struggling as I was struggling. One thing I would say just in closing is that, if you're the kid who goes through divorce of your parents, or if you're a spouse in the situation, there's life after it. And I think oftentimes that's not something we deal very well with in the church is the life after. And certainly I think you want to do everything you can to prevent a divorce. It's never God's ideal, but there are circumstances where I do think it can't be helped, really. I think most of the time, by the time we're aware of it in someone's life, it's often too late to intervene. Not that things can't be, you can't overcome certain things, but, and I think, I'd like to see more churches do care for people who've been through it. I think that's important because people come to churches all the time with this, and it's not something that they want to talk about, and they're afraid people will judge them, and it's one of those. We need to do care for people who have been through this. that is one thing I would just say in closing. That's my story. I hope it helps you in some way. I hope it reaches somebody. Thanks for listening.